So like every time we are going to start with an empty project here. So in the main.dart, what I've done is I have applied this home page widget in the home section of the material app, and this widget is in this app.dart file. Right now it does not return anything, so let's get started with our collapsible app. So first of all, what we need to do is we obviously need to create a scaffold, and inside this, normally what we will do is we will create a app bar and then we create a body to it, and that's how we go when we create a normal app. But in this case, we will just use a widget called nested scroll view. So what nested scroll view is, for example, our app contains like multiple types of scroll behaviors. For example, there is also vertical scrolling and horizontal scrolling in the same page. So the behavior that we expect it to do might be a little bit complicated. So that's why we use nested scroll view, and it makes things a little bit simpler. So here we will go ahead and create a nested scroll view here, and inside this takes in two parameters. The first one is a header sliver builder, and the second one is a body. Alright, so what this sliver builder means is, first you need to know what sliver is. So a portion of a scroll view is called sliver in Flutter. So in this header sliver builder, we will use our sliver app bar. Instead of using normal app bar, we are using sliver app bar. This will give us the functions and the ability to make a collapsible app bar and control its behavior as we like. So inside this Sliver Builder, it takes in a function, and this function has two parameters. First one is the build context, and the second one is a boolean, and it is called inner box is called. Alright, so inside this, we will use we will return an array of widgets. And our first widget that we're going to use is called a sliver app bar, as I told you before. Right. So this Sliver app bar is the main deal in which it will provide all the features and ability to make a collapsible app bar. So this also has multiple parameters inside it. If you hover over it, you can see there are way too many parameters. What we need here is called title, and inside this title, we will have the first portion of our app bar. So if you notice in apps like WhatsApp and Instagram, the app bar has two parts. The upper part in which the logo is present and the search bar is present, and the second part contains a tab view like chats, calls, and stories. And if we scroll up, the upper part of the app bar collapses, and the second one remains there. It is pinned on the top of the screen. So in title, we are gonna make the upper part of the app bar, right? So it will simply be a row, and the first thing what we need is a logo. So instead of a logo, we're gonna simply write a text here, and this text will say WhatsApp, right? And as for the search bar, we will have a icon here, icons dot search. All right. So for in the body, let's just comment body for now, so that we can run our app. I think it gives an error, so instead of commenting it, let's initialize it with an empty container. Alright, so you can see here that our app has opened up, and we have our upper part of the taskbar, and if I like scroll down, it goes up. Right now the indentation is not correct because the search bar should be at the extreme right of the app bar. So let's do that by adding expanded over here, and this will contain an empty container for now. Alright, so if I refresh this, I think it should work. Yeah. Now let's move on to the bottom part of the app bar, which will contain the tab view. Alright, so there is another parameter here in the sliver app bar, and it is called bottom. So what we'll do is we'll create this parameter, and inside this we will have a widget that will give us the bottom part of the app bar, which will contain a tab bar. So let's create a tab bar widget. Inside this, this will contain array of tabs, and this tab will be there is a widget called tab inside Flutter which we'll use here. So let's create that. All right. So inside this, let's create your first tab. So in this tab, we will have a child, and this will be simply a text. So let's create a text and call it chats. So let's create a few more tabs over here. I will just copy this and duplicate it a few times. The second one, let's call it calls, and I believe it is story inside WhatsApp. So let's call it story. Ignore the warnings for now. They will be removed after a while. Right. So one more thing that our tab bar needs is a tab controller. If you have noticed, we have extended our homepage state class with a ticker provider state mixin. It provides us with the option of adding vsync in our tab controller. So here, if I create a tab controller, let's call it tab controller, and we will not initialize it here. Instead, we will initialize it in the init state. Also, I should make it nullable. Okay, so in the init state, let's initialize this. So tab controller is equal to tab controller, so the constructor for it. And this tab controller requires two parameters. The first one is the length, and the second one is the vsync. Right. So what length is that? Here we need to specify the number of tabs we have in our app. So here we have used three tabs: chats, calls, and story. So let's add three over here, and in vsync we will add this. All right. So here, if we like remove this extension, then you see we cannot specify vsync like this. It will provide an error. So make sure you add this over here. Right. So now, if I reload the app, you can see we have got an error here that no tab controller is initialized. So what happened here is, first of all, we need to provide a controller, and inside this controller we will specify tab controller. And even now, if I refresh the app, the same error should come, because what I did is hot reload the app, and when I hot reload the app, the whole state is not like build up from the scratch. So this init state method never runs. So it still thinks that our tab controller is not initialized. So instead of reload, what we need to do is we need to hot restart this. So after this, I think it should work. And yeah, as you can see, we have got our app bar with the upper part and the lower part. Lower part containing a tab view. If you click on it, it should change tabs. And if you scroll, what happens is the whole app bar goes like whole app bar scrolls up. But what we need is we want to dismiss this upper part and let the bottom part be pinned on the top of the screen, right? So for that, what we'll do is, first of all, let's just remove this comment. Right. So in the Sliver app bar, there are various parameters that we can use. So the first one is pinned. If you do pinned equal to true, this app bar will get pinned over here. So if I scroll, nothing happens because this is pinned on the top of the screen. But what we want is this one to collapse and this one to be pinned, right? So there's another parameter called floating. Now, if we specify this as true, this part will be a floating part of the app bar. So let's save it and refresh. Now you can see if I scroll up, the upper part gets dismissed and the lower part remains. and you can switch tabs over here. So the major part of our task is done. What is left is there is no body in our app right now. Like it's completely blank. So if you remember, we initialized our body with an empty container. So instead of this, we will use a tab bar view. This tab bar view takes in a parameter called children, and inside this children will also be uh, array of widgets. So let's initialize it with that. Alright. So inside of this, we will have simply three text, and because we don't have the time to create the whole screen right now, so I will just create three text widgets, and let's call it chat screen, and I will just copy it multiple times. This should be called call screen, and oops, right, and this will be called story screen. Okay, so we have a tab bar view here. So if you know, like if you remember this tab controller, its use hasn't been clear until now, right? But now it will come in handy, because we have assigned this tab bar with this controller, and the tab bar view also takes in a controller parameter. So here what we'll do is specify our tab bar controller. Alright, now if I save and refresh this, um, yeah, you will notice that chat screen is written over here in the chat section, and if I click on calls, call screen comes, and similarly story screen. All right, so this has been all for this video, and this is how we create a collapsible app bar. If you see, there is also a similar app bar used in Netflix app. Instead there is a logo here, and a few more tweaks are there. The app bar is transparent and the body scrolls under it. So you can go through many parameters that are present in Sliver app bar and achieve whatever kind of behavior that you want. So yeah, so that's all for this video. If you like this video, press the like button and don't forget to subscribe.